The NFL regular season is almost upon us, and we've got some names that aren't being respected as much as they should be in terms of their fantasy upside. We have everyone from starters to players who are worthy of that last spot on your bench just in case things roll their way. And we're going to start off with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is an ADP sleeper. The guy is being drafted as quarterback 14 at pick 112, and I would love to know why. With no receiver hauling in more than 750 yards last season, Jones was still QB9 in a standard PPR format. On a surface level glance, Daniel Jones doesn't jump off the page. He had just 15 passing touchdowns to 5 interceptions, but something we were introduced to in the last couple of years is his rushing upside. Last season, Jones tacked on an extra 142 fantasy points with 708 rushing yards and 7 scores on the ground as well. Now, the reason many people have knocked the Giants signal caller since he was drafted, turnovers. Yeah, those were fine too last year. He threw just 5 picks and lost just 3 fumbles. He only lost 16 points to turnovers all season. Every other quarterback in the top 15 in total points scored for the 2022 fantasy season, except for Jalen Hurts, turned the ball over more than Daniel Jones. And let's not act like Daniel Jones wasn't pressured all season. He had 49 hurries last year. That is the 3rd highest mark in the league. Next up, it's Deon Jackson. If there was a player you should go and add literally before the end of this video, it is Deon Jackson. Go do it right now. He's owned in just 18% of leagues, and that value is rising rapidly. There are a lot of people sitting back and moping over Jonathan Taylor being out for 4 weeks. Well, Zach Moss is questionable, and we've seen what Deon Jackson can do. Not only am I telling you to go out and get a guy who at one point last year filled in for Jonathan Taylor, caught 10 passes for 79 yards, and scored on the ground, I'm telling you to get somebody who could, in all honesty, take over this backfield. It's an outside chance, but with Jonathan Taylor's injury history the last couple of years, who knows? Jonathan Taylor has had a pedal ankle sprain that has gotten progressively worse as he continues to re-aggravate it, and as much as we all want to hold on to this historic fantasy season he had, 2021 is getting further and further and further away. The Colts need a backup plan, and if I'm the Colts, I don't want to just see what Zach Moss has. I want to test out Deon Jackson, especially with that pass-catching upside, just to see what we would have if he came back and played a larger role later in the year. Khalil Herbert is more so in that breakout potential range. He is owned in plenty of leagues, I'm not arguing that, but he's being drafted as running back 33 right now, so the vast majority don't see him as more than a bench warmer or at the very most a low-end RB2. I understand that Roschon Johnson brings plenty of upside after averaging 5.6 yards per carry across 4 years at Texas, but Khalil Herbert did finish last season as the 3rd rushing option on the Bears behind Justin Fields and David Montgomery, yet he was still running back 37. So you're telling me this. There was an upgrade in the depth chart where now Khalil Herbert is the starter. There was a first-round investment in an offensive lineman and the acquisition of DJ Moore, indicating that Justin Fields should run less, and that's only pushing a guy who averaged 5.7 yards per carry up 4 spots from where he was last year. I'm not buying it. If you are a Roschon Johnson believer, you go get him as a handcuff for Khalil Herbert. This Bears team ran the ball 60% of the time last year, far and away the most of any NFL squad. There is room for a handcuff running back. Now, Trey Palmer, this guy is more for you dynasty players, and I know you're out there. He's worthy of nearly the last spot on your roster for the following reasons. For one, Russell Gage, the initial wide receiver 3 going into this season for Tampa Bay, is out for the year with a knee injury. That means the rookie in Palmer immediately gets a promotion. In terms of what Trey Palmer has done for himself so far, he impressed in the preseason with 7 catches and 91 yards, along with a pair of touchdowns in a preseason where Baker Mayfield was very much involved because he had to go out and win the starting job. Trey Palmer was the best Bucs wide receiver on the field for a decent chunk of time, obviously with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans not playing a ton. Now the situation he's in, obviously it's a new offense this year, but the Buccaneers throw the ball. Last year, they threw the ball more often than any other team. Mike Evans is 30 years old now, and I'm not saying he won't get the opportunity to surpass 1,000 yards for his 10th straight year. I'm actually rooting for that. That'd be pretty cool. I just think the stars are aligning for Trey Palmer to do a little more than what was initially projected as a 200 to 300 yard season. Outside of maybe Pat Freiermuth, Juwan Johnson could very well be the most underrated tight end out there. Juwan Johnson led the Saints in touchdown receptions in 2022 with 7 of them. He was also tight end 8 last year. He caught 7 of his 11 red zone targets. He was the 3rd most targeted player on the Saints, with Alvin Kamara, who is suspended through the first 3 games of this year, being just in front of him in second. Yet somehow, Juwan Johnson is being drafted as the tight end 17, and that's just when he gets drafted. Johnson is rostered in just 17% of leagues right now. Now, the quarterback he's working with, Derek Carr, I'm not sure if the word just didn't get out, but Derek Carr loves throwing to his tight ends. Let's look at the historical data. In 4 of the last 5 years, the Raiders were in the top 10 in the league in tight end target percentage, and they actually led the NFL in 2020 with a mark of 33%. You could see the downtick in usage over the course of the last couple of years. That's largely due to Darren Wallen's injury issues and the fact that Derek Carr targeted Davante Adams, his former college teammate, a league-high 32.6% of the time last season. That's going to skew your data. Juwan Johnson has to compete with Chris Olave, a valid wide receiver 1, but beyond that, Michael Thomas would have to stay healthy, Alvin Kamara would need to return to form and play the rest of the season, and Derek Carr would have to straight up ignore tight ends, which he has not done historically, for me to be worried about this pick. Thank you for watching. As always, make sure that you drop any questions you have in the comment section below, or your own sleepers. We'll take them here. Like and subscribe if I helped you get a little bit better at fantasy football today, and we will see you in the next video.